These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
We had a tremendous night tonight. I would have still expected to play in Kansas City or wanted to play, crowd noise, being on the road. So I would expect to play and try to get something going.
Kirk talking about it's kind of a debacle second preseason game for Vikings offenses. Defense showed a little more promise. This is Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment. And we just want championships. That's all we want here. So if you ever think we're being too hard on the Minnesota sports teams, it's tough love because we want high standards. Mm-hmm. It's been 30 years since one of the 4 men's professional sports teams has won a championship. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as you consume our show. Boys, let's get into it. Statements from the weekend, going back to Friday, things you observed over the weekend. Let's start with Judd Zulgad. Let's hit the music. Let's dive right in.
Well, this actually originated last week, and this morning multiple reports are indicating that it is nearly a done deal, and so I think it's fair to make this statement. Everson Griffen's almost certain return to the Minnesota Vikings shows just how little this team cares about coddling its quarterback, Kirk Cousins, considering the most important thing when it comes to Ev is the fact that he once tweeted and then deleted that Kirk Cousins was ass and basically challenged people to go to Zim and find out who wanted Kirk signed because according to Ev, it was not Zim.
So real quick, he tweeted on, I've got it right here.
Yep.
This is back in January or something. Yeah.
It was January. Yep.
January 9th.
Early morning, right? Like 7 in the morning or something.
7:46 a.m. on January 9th, 2021. He tweets at Vikings.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins is ass. Thank you. Ask Zimmer if you wanted Kirk. 5 question marks. He will tell you the truth. Who wanted Kirk Cousins? Take your guess. So those were the tweets.
Which must mean Rick Spielman did. And then, of course, they all were deleted later in that day. And around 3 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon, Ev apologized. Nonetheless, it's a very interesting dynamic because I will say this. If somebody called Tom Brady ass, would his team bring that player back after a year away? Would Drew Brees be tweeted, Drew Brees is ass, and then have a guy come back and play for back then the Saints? The point being, this is a very interesting slippery slope we're going down, and I realize that the competition for the right end job was not going probably swimmingly, and so this does add a dynamic there that's going to make the head coach happy about it. But there's much more to this story, I think, than just that.
I will say, so it is very interesting. I think there's an interesting locker room dynamic already with this Vikings team, as we've sort of seen the last few weeks. And Mike Zimmer has voiced his displeasure about certain things. So this is definitely, I don't think you can just say, oh, Everson's coming back and everyone's just going to get along. I mean, obviously, and now he apologized on Twitter. I don't know if him and Kirk have had a face-to-face conversation, but when someone trashes his starting quarterback like that publicly, it's kind of interesting. But on the production side for Everson Griffen, his pressure statistics, I'm going to get nerdy on you guys here, according to Pro Football Focus, we're still pretty much in line with career rates last year as a part-time player for Dallas and Detroit. I don't think in his now, mid-30s, basically, I don't think he's going to be an every-down, full-go guy. He might start. I don't know that he's going to be a guy that you're going to throw out there for 800 or 900 snaps. But he did get after quarterbacks at a pretty high rate. Like, he was one of the 30 best pass rushers in terms of pressure last year in the NFL on a rate basis. So I think he's still got some gas left in the tank, and we'll see. I'm sure somebody will ask him if this thing goes down officially. I'm sure maybe Judd will. Maybe Judd will ask him, hey, so is there anyone on the team that you think is ass?
How are you and Kirk doing these days? How's that relationship with the QB going?
Should be a interesting dynamic here. All right, my first statement for you guys. It's a positive one. I think the Vikings may finally be finding some solutions at right guard. Speaking of Pro Football Focus, the number 1 graded offensive player for the Vikings this weekend was Oli Udoh. And the second and third best graded offensive players were Dakota Dozier, and Wyatt Davis. And now Dakota Dozier might have quite literally been playing for his job, like as a backup. But if Oli Udoh can maintain that type of performance where he's holding up protection-wise, he's good in the run game, then maybe the Vikings say, we're not looking for the second coming of Steve Hutchinson here at guard. That would be nice.
Right.
We're not looking for Randall McDaniel. Our expectations for the team are high, but our expectations for that position are very reasonable. Just be average. Oli Udoh, we need like a slogan on the right guard t-shirts. Just be average. Just don't get forklifted off the line of scrimmage.
Just don't be horse crap. If you're not horse crap, we'll be really happy about that. Thank you very much, Oli.
But I think Oli Udoh in seeing, I don't know, it was like 20 snaps or something. I think he showed, all right, there might be a little something here, and maybe this is going to be a huge upgrade over what Dakota Dozier and Drew Samia gave you last year.
The Wyatt Davis thing has to make you feel pretty good as well, right? Like that to me, because I believe he's graded out fairly well, if not just flat out good in the 2 games in which he's played so far. And I'm sure he's got a lot to learn. He's a 3rd-round pick. But all of that being said, I think we're seeing enough to also believe that they got this pick right. And if you got this pick right, it's going to be huge. So I think between those 2 things, as far as guard play goes, it's very encouraging, and if you can get Davis up to speed as well, that's a great thing for this team because they need some depth at guard, if nothing else.
I would be tempted to just see if one of those guys can play left tackle, too, after the Rashad Hill game in that second preseason
Oli Udoh,
game.
maybe, baby. Oli Udoh's a tackle.
Well, they've been working him out,
yeah,
and I think they've been getting him some. I don't know if you're there more than
that's a big
either
stretch.
one of
he
us.
Ain't playing left tackle,
but didn't they say that? Didn't Zimmer say like we're?
Yeah, they tried him some at left tackle for a while, and early in the preseason he played some tackle, and then Zimmer was like, if he's going to play guard, he has to play guard. Like we can't be, hey, play right guard today and left tackle tomorrow. So I think they aborted that plan. But this is going to come down to your point, Phil. This is going to come down to how quickly can Darrisaw come back and actually play, because Rashad Hill is not the answer for a potential long-term starter at left tackle. You need Darrisaw to come back and at least be serviceable, or it could be a problem.
My first statement off the Vikings preseason performance, again, another lackluster one. And I think my statement is, though, you need to be inspired. And there's next to nothing to be inspired about after the first 2 preseason games. I know some people, when you look at preseason football, everything is taken with obviously a grain of salt, whether it's on the extreme good or if it's on the extreme bad. But when I'm looking at preseason football, I need to have some type of inspiring moment or have something that's encouraging. Now, Oli Udoh have a nice performance, that's a solid sign of life, and that offensive line obviously needs someone to show that's not Brian O'Neill, that they can step up and perform. But with this offense still having yet to score a single touchdown in 8 quarters of preseason football, that is, I don't want to be panicking, but there's nothing that I can take away from that makes me encouraged or getting more inspired. And yes, the panic alarm is hit. And that's what I want to see. Like when I watched the Packers and Jets game a little bit on Saturday, Zach Wilson looks like he's going to be a damn good quarterback. The Jets might be a disaster, and they might only win 4 or 5 games, but it looks like he's going to be a fun player to watch, and New York Jets actually have something to root for the first time in 15, 20 years. I need someone to step up to make it feel inspiring this preseason, and that is my opening statement after the preseason debacle against the Colts.
So because I don't tend to glean a lot from preseason. I mean, there's been times where people have pointed out, well, the Lions went 4-0 in the preseason the year they went 0-16 in the regular season, right? And there's years where you sputter, and then all of a sudden your offense is amazing. So how do you balance Jefferson's out, Dalvin Cook is out? I mean, there's key players just not playing. Danielle Hunter. And you also want to see the offense do something. Like you want to see them move the ball down the field and score some touchdowns and operate, right? So I'm a little torn. Like, I don't think preseason means entirely nothing, but I also don't want to overreact when some of the most key players are not playing in these first couple games.
I'm more concerned only because Kirk hasn't looked good since coming back from his quarantine, and he looked. What you guys saw is how he's looked.
But he didn't have COVID, so it's not like he's no. It's not like his lung function is.
No, I'm saying he came back, and since he came back, he's not been sharp. That concerns me. because Jefferson's out. That's correct. Cook out. That's correct. But you at least have to look like you have a rhythm. And at times, what I've seen in practice, and I thought, and I know he completed a bunch of his passes, but they were still short passes. It was not impressive. I would like to see more from Kirk because, and here's why, there's not time for a slow start. Like, we can't have September again. Hey, he's not playing well, and all the Kirk bashers are out in full force. And then October comes and Kirk starts to play well, and all the Kirk stands are out in full force. Look, I'm a realist in that Kirk is going to have a few off games. But you can't have what I believe would be a third consecutive September of, well, that wasn't great. Like, this team needs to get off to a fast start. It's possible. So I am not panicked, but but there's no question that you have to at least look how Kirk has played in practices and games and that game on Saturday, and at least say to yourself, I wonder how quickly that's going to work itself out. And last thing, and this is a problem. Rashad Hill is going to be your starting left tackle in week 1. That wasn't the plan, boys. That wasn't the plan.
I'm gonna cut in here. I'm gonna cut in with the next statement here because it's about Judd Zulgad and it's presented by Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Been helping business owners with risk management. If you're feeling panicked about things that could happen to your business, like a quarterback standing behind Rashad Hill or Drew Samia or something, Federated has over 100 years of experience in providing peace of mind and risk management protection tools for business owners. So check them out, federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. So my next statement is Judd Zulgad never played the game, and he's pushing an anti-Kirk Cousins agenda with this photoshopped screenshot. For the audio audience, Judd started an absolute nuclear Vikings Twitter war last night when he tweeted a screenshot of Kirk Cousins rolling out to his right, looks like an edge rusher sort of running at him like 4 yards away. And Kirk has two options on this play. He can throw back kind of across his body to a covered Irv Smith, which I believe he did.
Just like he did in 2009, the championship game, as you pointed out.
He could throw across his body to Sidney Rice. Or he could throw to any number of wide open receivers or run for. Or, according to this picture, he could throw to a wide open Chad Beebe in the right flat.
Yes.
And so Judd's tweet says, how does Cousins not throw the ball to Beebe here? Instead, he forces it to Irv Smith, who is just out of the picture. And every Kirk Cousins defender in the universe, rightfully, I might add, points out there's a cornerback playing zone in the flat about an inch off the screen where Judd cut this screenshot off. Explain yourself. Why are you trying to make it look like Chad Beebe is wide open and Kirk doesn't see him right in front of his face?
All right.
Why are you cutting off the Colts squatting cornerback defender from this image?
Okay, boys, here's the problem. I didn't play the game, but Pete Bursich did, and he was the first to point this out on this exact replay. He said, you've got to throw the ball to Beebe there. And in fact, was ignored by his play-by-play man completely. Like, the play-by-play man didn't say a thing about it. But Bursich said that's the type of play that has to go. And I love how people think that like, okay, Kirk can't throw the ball there because, again, two things. Do you realize on the fifth play offensively of the game for the Vikings, Kirk threw into the middle on a slant route for Thielen and damn near got him killed? And the second thing is, you need to get rid of this ball probably before this point. But it was hilarious. Twitter absolutely blew up.
Oh my God.
I thought Joe Mauer was a hot button guy. Joseph Mauer had nothing on Kirk Cousins.
All right. Back to Judd here. Statements.
Okay, I'm going to give you a good one. I'm going to give you a positive because we have not talked about this yet. And Dex, I feel like you're panicked about the offense, and that might be fair. It might not be. I don't know yet. But here's the good thing. I think the Vikings defense is showing from, again, what I've seen in practice. I watched them a ton in practice. I mean, that at least accounts for something. And I think the Vikings first team defense, or those that at least who played on Saturday and what I've seen in practice, I think that there are significant, important steps being taken here. Michael Pierce is as big as I thought he was on that field. Dalvin Tomlinson, I think, is good. Danielle Hunter didn't play on Saturday, but if he comes back and plays like he can, he's a Pro Bowl player. I'm concerned about Barr, and in fact, Zimmer did say and confirm after the game on Saturday that there is concern there as far as Barr's health goes. I'm hearing it's a hamstring, and I'm hearing that they are hopeful that he will be prepared to play against the Bengals in Week 1. But it's not
hamstrings,
the pec.
Man.
It's not the pec. It's a hamstring. But the Vikings defense, you guys, I think the first team defense, what I've seen in practice, and the guys that we saw against the Colts, this is going to revert much more back to what we expect from a Zimmer-led defense compared to the absolute dreck that we saw last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's even harder to glean defensively in the preseason, but it just feels like if everyone that the Vikings should have healthy is on the field, especially up the middle, I mean, you're going to wind up replacing your 2 defensive tackles last year at any given time were either backup or like backup caliber or like shouldn't have been on an NFL field caliber. And if you get a 3-man rotation of Dalvin Tomlinson, Michael Pierce, and Sheldon Richardson, you got 3 pros.
Yep. 3
absolute pros. And Everson Griffen, even if he plays 500 snaps opposite Danielle Hunter, he knows the system. He still has some gas left in the tank. And maybe it'll wind up being a good thing for some of the other depth right ends, like a DJ Wanham. We're not going to expose you for 800 snaps, but you can get your 300 snaps.
Right.
So I actually really like what the Vikings have on paper right now with their defensive front, and that could be the most important improvement from last year. All right, Declan?
I have a baseball-related statement if you guys want me to hit you with that.
I do as well. This could be a good run here. You can go back-to-back here.
All right, my baseball statement is Joe Ryan shoves. That is my statement. So, Friday night.
My statement's going to be even better after Declan's statement.
Two things. Number one, shoves is such a great hyperbole in when a baseball pitcher is on. Shoves. I don't know why. It's a great one. It's Friday night. I could have done a lot of things. I could have gotten into a lot of trouble or non-trouble. There's a lot of options for me to do as a 20-something living in the hip urban area of Minneapolis. But instead, I went back to the homeland, went back to St. Paul, watched Joe Ryan make his St. Paul Saints debut, and this dude was absolutely fire. 4 innings. Now, he was on a pitch count, 70-pitch pitch count, because he hadn't pitched in 2 weeks. But 62 pitches, 49 strikes, 9 strikeouts, 6 consecutive strikeouts to start the game. The only hit he gave up was a bomb to right field. But in general, this dude has a great fastball, 94, 95 regularly on the gun at CHS Field. I will say he probably does need to develop maybe a more significant breaking ball pitch if he's going to make it as a starting pitcher. But just talking around and doing my little Doogie Darren Wolfson scouting in the press box with my sources, if he has another start, my sources tell me, if Joe Ryan has another start like that, he'll be called up to the Minnesota Twins very, very shortly.
Oh, my. Wow.
My head is hurt now.
Could be huge.
And a lot of swagger on the mound. In fact, there was a really good, what I really liked about this, and I think baseball purists will love this, there was a pop-up on the left side, foul ball. And, typically pitchers never handle pop-ups. They just don't. So Jack Morris would have loved what happened here. Joe Ryan literally bolts off the mound, runs full speed, and nearly catches this pop-up in foul territory. He missed it by 2 steps. So this dude is a gamer, very animated on the mound, hard fastball that he relies on a ton, but it looks like the key piece in the Nelson Cruz trade can hopefully be contributing to the Twins, maybe even by soon in the next couple weeks.
And that's an amazing scouting report. And I just want to preface this by saying this has nothing to do with Declan's scouting report, my next statement, because that was a great scouting report. But I don't care. I don't want to hear, here's my statement, I don't want to hear another positive word about the Twins until they're able to confront the Yankees without urine running down all of their legs.
Good luck.
Okay? I don't know if this graphic was sent out before their loss on Saturday or after their loss on Saturday. And thankfully for the Twins, Sunday's game didn't happen because a hurricane is plowing through the East Coast.
Yep.
So the Twins actually got lucky. But someone did the math here. Eric Boland And I believe they put this graphic up on Fox Sports 1 during the game on Saturday. Since 2002, okay? This is 20 years. This is 20 seasons. The Yankees are 106-38 against the Twins. 106-38. And as much as I love me some overhyped Twins prospects, and I love that Declan scouting report, unless Joey Ryan can come in here and change 106-38 inertia from the past 2 decades, I just can't get I am the biggest Twins homer and apologist that's ever walked the face of Minnesota sports media the last 10 years. And I'm sitting here saying, like, dude, all these people saying, well, look at the Twins. Look how well they're playing. They're finally putting it together the last 3 weeks, whether it's the commentators or other people who write about the Twins. You guys, it's the same thing. They look fine against the Tigers. They look fine against the Royals. And sometimes they even look pretty good against, like, the Astros in the regular season.
Yeah.
And then they meet the Yankees. And I get the Yankees are always going to have twice the payroll and twice the resources. But the gap shouldn't be this. Like, there's been a lot of really good Twins teams over the last 20 years in the regular season. 106-38? That's all. Like, if the Yankees played the worst team in baseball 150 times,
Yes.
they wouldn't have a 106-38 record. So I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it until they solve the Yankees Rubik's Cube. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's very fair. I think I think that's incredibly fair. And yeah, last Thursday before the Twins-Yankee series started, when Bally Sports North had the audacity to have a long conversation about, my Twins might be back here. I mean, they're playing like one of the best teams. And then
might want to wait till after the Yankees series to have that conversation next time.
And in every game of that series that was played, they trailed 6-0, I believe. Like, I think they were down 6-0 in every one of those games.
Dude, it's embarrassing.
Okay.
Like, is it fair to say nothing that they do matters until they finally get over? Like, we've been talking about that hump. I think we started talking about that hump after the 04. It was like, okay, the Yankees got us back to back. Okay, and then 09 was their next shot at the crown. And then it was like, okay, now it's a thing, 09. I mean, it's been a thing for like 13 years.
Yes.
So, I don't know.
More embarrassing than ever.
So, yeah. All
right. Phil, I'm going to take your previous statement and I'm going to assign it to one person. I never want to hear the loser's lament of Rocco Baldelli again. And in fact, I would encourage him to change his tune. Let me read you a post-game Saturday quote from Rocco, okay? And you tell me that this in any way, shape, or form is constructive to a professional environment where people are being paid millions of dollars.
Okay.
Quote, the Yankees put 5 runs on the board in the 5th. And continuing the Rocco quote, if there's a healthy Kenta out there, I don't think they're going to put 5 runs on the board.
Oh.
I think we'd probably have a good ball game. If we get a hit or two in those big situations, the ball game is completely different. Is a completely different reality. What are you talking about, dude? This isn't Little League. This isn't Babe Ruth. It's not even Legion.
If Joe Nathan doesn't give up a 3-run jack to A-Rod or whatever
what
it was.
What are you talking about?
Juan Rincon doesn't hang a cookie to Ruben Sierra.
If Brian Dunsing doesn't have his B or C stuff at Yankee Stadium in 2010, if he was on that day,
but
if Dobnak was throwing sinkers,
if the greatest postseason pitcher Andy Pettitte wasn't on for Game 2 in 2010, the Twins even up that series.
But you tell me this, how is that quote constructive to your players? Like, how does that help them at all? It's basically an excuse.
It is weird. Like, he definitely tends to take the, hey, listen, man, like, positive vibes. Let's just create positive vibes here. But I just think at some point, positive vibes are great. And then when you get your ass kicked a few times by the Yankees, it's like, I don't think anyone in that clubhouse needs to be patronized. I almost feel like you're patronizing your team. You're definitely patronizing the fans. I really appreciated what Dave St. Peter said with us. Was it 2 years back when he came on the Mackey Judd with Rami show? And he said, and he went right out. He said, let's slay the dragon.
Yep.
I like that. It failed epically. But call a spade. Like, no one wants to come out and just say what Pedro Martinez so transparently said 20 years ago. The Yankees are my daddy. Like, That is what the reality is the last 20 years. Well, but if you look at it this way, no, there's no other way to look at it.
But like, give me some fire. Give me some pushback. You are in the same league as this team. I know it doesn't seem like that, but you are, and your whole thing is, well, if we had done this, and I mean, really, if Kenta hadn't come out, we would have been great. What are you talking about, dude? These aren't 12-year-olds. They're grown men making millions of dollars. Have some standards. Like
I'm a man. I'm 40.
I'm 40.
I'm 40. But I mean, there's no standard there. There's zero standard in saying that. So anyway.
By the way, our Twins discussions this season powered in part by Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com. If you're looking to ride as fast as you can out of New York City for a number of different reasons,
oh my God,
Dennis Kirk is here for you riders out there. Harleys, Indians, Metric Cruisers, sport bikes, whatever you ride, you'll find what you need at DennisKirk.com. 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, clothing and helmets as well. Order by 8 p.m. and they ship the same day. When the open road calls, head to DennisKirk.com. All right, any other final statements from you two gentlemen?
Just one more personal one. A new personal best in the golf course yesterday, 95.
Oh, look at
Shot
you,
95,
dude.
Lee Bolstad.
Did you cheat at all? It's
there was
Les
two.
Bolstad.
Les
Put some
Bolstad.
Put some respect on the name
Put
of the
some
golf
respect on the
course.
U of M
Bolstad.
course name. Shout out to my friend and caddy Eric Vaglin, who said I would I would get 95 at this course. I have to play TPC Twin Cities tomorrow, and I'm guessing it won't be as forgiving when you hit a ball in the fairway and it rolls an extra 100 yards, or even finding the fairway for that matter at TPC.
Actually, you know what's funny? So maybe this happens to you. So I am not a great golfer. I'm a little further. Like I flirt with like the high 80s. You flirt with the high 90s, but I'm a bogey golfer on a good day, right?
Yep.
And I can't really drive the ball that well. The best 9 I've ever had in my life was at TPC Twin Cities. Like the week before the 3M, I think it was the last year of the senior version of the golf course.
Okay.
And we were playing, I'm pretty sure we were playing the blues. So it was like, I was like piping everything. Yeah. The fairways were nice and crisp. And I had like 5 pars on 9 holes, and I shot what was it, like it's a 30? I think it's a 36. I shot like a 43 or something, and it was the best night. So don't be dejected going into the round. Yeah. This could be your moment of glory tomorrow. It's an easy course. It's an easy course.
Yeah, you got this, Declan.
And I, like an idiot I am, I had my cell phone in the golf cart. And I realized 2 holes later, my cell phone wasn't on me and had to go back and track it and find it. And thank God my friend remembers every terrible spot I'm always in after driving, because 2 holes prior, we had to drive back. And lo and behold, he found the phone in the middle of a rough patch on hole 16.
Wow, dude.
So shout out to Eric. He said it, because he didn't get the shout out when I broke 100 the first time. He's like, I just found your cell phone, idiot. I better get a shout out on the show. So that is his shameless plug for a shout out on Mackey and Judd. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
Panicked feeling when that happens.
It is.
And when you're a good golfer, it doesn't matter. It's either on the fairway or in your pocket, right? But like when you're a bad golfer, it could be in the water. It could be in a bunker somewhere.
It's true.
It could be in the fescue.
It's true.
Who the hell knows? So, all right. Good session of statements there.